responsibility. That's the only chance you have with freedom, is to take charge of your life and make a life for yourself. Ralph Ellison, one of my all-time favorite writers, talks about this, that the group is the gift of its individuals. The goal is not to create the uncreated conscience of your race, but to create the uncreated conscience of your face. And that's 50, 60 years ago. Yeah. That's on the money. That's in his great book, Invisible Man.
Do you think part of the problem is the daily recitation of groupthink, group rights? You get it a lot in our universities and colleges. You see it on television a lot. Politicians balkanizing the nation in order to empower themselves and their party and so forth. Isn't that part of the problem?
What I think you're pointing to is definitely maybe the overriding problem, which is, and we don't talk about it very much at all, is white guilt. And that keeps feeding whatever blacks are doing that's not helping them, thinking of themselves as nothing more than members of a group of protesting and so forth. It's white guilt that keeps feeding that. What is white guilt? We always, we think, well, do I wake up in the morning and feel guilty about, black Americans? No. White guilt doesn't have anything to do with actual feelings of guilt. White guilt is the terror of being seen as a racist, as a bigot, that now pervades American life. All of our social policy, our culture, everything is touched by this anxiety in most of white America, understandably, given America's history, that they're vulnerable. They have this vulnerability to being disarmed of moral authority by being called a racist. I can use it as a weapon. I can say, I went on the Levin show. Let me tell you the way I was treated. And it explodes. So it constitutes, that is black power. White guilt is black power. They're virtually one and the same. And one of the big problems we have is that you talk about universities and political correctness and so forth. These are all ways in which white Americans say, I'm innocent. I don't feel this way. I'm not a bigot. I'm not a racist. I'm innocent. And white guilt causes this drive to prove and establish innocence. And so then we have a whole generation of black leaders who do one thing and one thing only: milk white guilt. And we're at a moment. I thought this protest was telling in that regard, kind of a point at which the culture may be turning, because it was a fruitless protest. It achieved absolutely nothing.
Could the culture be turning, but the elites digging in?
That's well said.
Because more and more when I watch these debates on television and so forth, people very easily, almost casually, call people they disagree with racists. If they disagree with a political agenda, if they disagree with a particular issue, and most of that's coming from the left.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's white guilt is meant to disarm you of moral authority. It's when they scream racism all the time, they're saying you're a racist. You don't have the moral authority to deal with whatever issue or problem we're dealing with, because you're a racist, and so therefore you are morally compromised, and your moral authority, you don't have any moral authority. And this is the seduction that people on the left have fallen for. They then are given as a reward the idea of their innocence.
I want to pursue this